Well, I've been sprayed by the corn companies with 7, an organophosphate. Once in Hanapepe, I was in my little honey house. I had about 25 bee colonies, and I had lived there for years before the corn company moved in, and they gradually expanded their operation until I was surrounded by cornfields. The wind was blowing up the valley, and it blew the mist, and it was all around me, and it knocked me out like instantly. I hit the floor, and when I regained consciousness a few minutes later, I could still hear the tractor going around the field, and so I got in my truck and left. And the next day I came back, all my bees were dead. Dead, dead, dead. Thousands of bees, just piles of bees out in the front of the hives. Yeah, 7 really is toxic for honeybees. People too. So I moved out of Hanapepe, moved to Waimea, and started all over again. Because I like living outdoors, gardening, and raising honeybees and making honey for my friends and family. So another time I was walking down by the harbor here, and they were growing corn in a field towards the highway, and a spray rig pulled in about 200 yards away and just started spraying. I saw the mist coming towards me, and so I got my dog in the car and tried to leave as fast as I could, but yeah, the spray was all around us, all over the windshield and everything. So I was holding my breath, driving away, got down by the landing and just started throwing up, and threw up about 3 times on the way home. Diarrhea, cramps, delirium, you name it. Just, it was a nightmare. And yeah, and I couldn't walk for about 3 days, called to the bathroom, and drank a lot of juice, called my doctor, and he sent me up to the diagnostic lab. They drew 4 vials of blood, sent it off to the lab, and when the results came back, I had all the symptoms of pesticide poisoning. 3% cholinesterase. Normally it's 75-80% in a human being, which is an enzyme in our blood that facilitates nerve transmission. And while I was laying in bed, it was like after the really bad part, I mean, you think you're gonna die, it left me just totally wiped out. It took me about 6 months till I could go back to working. I went down to the corn company, their office, and talked to the manager, explained to him what happened, and he said, "Oh yeah, gee, we're really sorry. The fellow who sprayed you had not been trained. He had not been to a pesticide applicator class like I have, and it was a high wind day. I had friends who fish out of the harbor here, and they said, yeah, it was over 20 miles an hour that day. And you're not supposed to, it's a federal law, you're not supposed to spray agricultural chemicals if the wind is over 6 miles an hour. So he apologized and said, yeah, we're sorry. We'll be more careful in the future. So I kind of let it go at that. But then I incurred some medical bills, So I went back to the corn company and asked them, hey, how, since you admitted that you broke about 3 federal safe pesticide applicator laws and you were wrong, how's about just paying my medical bills? Just a couple $100, but. And he said, oh no, we don't admit any guilt. So I called every lawyer in Hawaii, Earth Justice on the mainland, trying to get legal advice, I mean, if somebody affects your life in that way, and who knows, it could happen again, and it's probably happening to a lot of people. And so I just thought I'd find out what the where I stood legally. And almost every lawyer in Hawaii and the mainland said, "Oh, no, we don't handle that kind of case." And I said, "Well, why not? You know, is Monsanto so strong that you guys can't go up against, you know, they're wrong, they're polluting the environment, they're poisoning us, they're making us sick. You know, it knocks you down. It really brings your life to a screeching halt, getting sprayed by pesticides. I mean, you're so weak. For a couple of days, I couldn't even stand up. And I talked to people who, one of my friends used to run the spray rig for Syngenta, and he said, we're always mixing stuff up. The newest, the latest, the hottest, the deadliest, you know. He was the lead spray guy in the valley. And he used to tell me, what I spray is so toxic, it comes straight out of the lab. He said, we don't even need state approval or anybody's, you know. The salesman comes, takes me to lunch, gives me a couple $100. He says, what do you want to kill this month? From what I've read, not only the pesticide, the 7, it's the stickers, the enhancers, it's a cocktail. And they're constantly playing with it, you know. And the combination of the pesticide with all these other chemicals, it compounds the effect. I know ex-employees who got sprayed, who took their whole crew. One fellow was a crew chief, hit a spray rig upwind of him and his 10, 12 crew members got sprayed. I mean, he said guys are down on the ground throwing up, having epileptic-like seizures from exposure to this pesticide. And so he got him in the company van, took him down to the hospital, gave him oxygen, atropine, or, you know, took care of him. And the next day the boss calls him in the office and says, hey, what's the idea of taking your crew down to the hospital? And my friend told him, well, they were sprayed, they got, you know, poisoned. And so I took him to the hospital, and the boss told my friend, don't you ever do that again. And my friend says, what, just let him die? You know? And so, and he was fired, or just let go about a week or two later. Which is, in the long run, it's better. He's got a much better job now.